It's not spring hockey or extra clinics or your coach or not or having an agent. Those are not what make is the recipe. It's not that. It's not getting to the AAA level at a perfect time. Is it 12? Is it 10? If I don't get in now, is it going to be too late? Is it if I get in Bantam, is that good enough? Like,
Yeah.
I think I get in early. Coach needs to be the best coach. I got to go where the best coach is. This stuff does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What it is about, it's about you. It's about you loving the game. It's about you competing. It's about doing whatever it takes, despite having, is it despite or in spite? Despite having the best equipment, the best coach, the best circumstances, the all the amenities that you could ever want. It's not that. It's not that. It's not a perfect world. It's not just not the way it is. It's about you wanting to do it, learning, improving, being your best, and doing whatever it takes, whatever that means. And you know what you're doing, having the desire and doing all those things I just said, the love, the compete, the doing whatever it takes, the learning, the improving, the practice properly, the thinking about all that kind of stuff, working out, doing extra runs, all the stuff. Even when you do all that, it still might not be your time. It might not come as early as you want. You might have to keep at it for till you're 22 instead of 12, right? So that's the part that is going to help you make it. There's no other reason, no other thing. It's not having the perfect parents. It's about you. It's just strictly about you, how bad you want it.
Yep.
And then if you have talent, or I don't want to say it that way, you have to have a certain level of talent to get to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I want to talk about a little bit about the parents, because you've mentioned a bunch of different examples there of agents and spring hockey and all this stuff. And what I was saying when we were talking last night, and we've said this before, but there can be a lot of noise, especially if you're parents that don't know what to do, which most parents won't know what to do. Even if parents sound like they know what to do or they think they're doing the right things or whatever, most of them don't know. And there's a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of things coming at you from different ways, like, oh, he's got to play spring hockey. He's got to do this. I have this agent. I'm going to this tournament. I'm all this kind of crap. And what I was saying last, it's so funny because I'm literally repeating everything I said last night, but it can appear like what you're doing is making the difference when the parents and the kids are young. So if you go to the spring tournament and your kid is a pretty good player, and now he gets invited to other spring tournaments or to play on the Marlies spring hockey team or whatever, things like that can make it seem like you're giving your kid an advantage. And you actually might in the short term. It might be a short term because they're playing a little bit more hockey, or they're playing with a little bit better players, or they're getting some development advantage.
The level you want to be a star at.
This is what my point is, right? It can appear like what you're doing is working because your kid's the best when they're peewee or Adam or whatever age group you're at.
Or you can afford to bring them.
Or you can afford it or whatever. And a lot of times if your parents like the ones we were talking to, you might think, let's say, for example, you can't afford to do the spring tournament. Now you feel like your kid is missing an opportunity, like you were saying, because all these other kids seem to be doing the spring tournament or whatever. So what my point when we were talking about yesterday is, again, you can think that your decisions as mom and dad are making the difference, and it might look like it up until it doesn't anymore.
Yep.
So you talked about this a few episodes ago, I think, is that when Charlie moved away playing in the OHL, you now have no more input. There's very little that you can do. So if it was you that was pushing your kid along all this time, at the day that and let's say your kid gets drafted and you think that it's because of all the extra shit you did as mom and dad. Now it still doesn't matter now. So he's 15, 16, he's going to move away or he won't make it or whatever. You can't help him.
Nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. So now what is actually inside your kid now? That's actually what's going to come out.
Yeah.
So if you paid for all the great equipment and you paid for all the extra tournaments and extra training and all this stuff, and it seemed like you were getting ahead for those 5 years of minor hockey, 6 years of minor hockey, it's still going to come to an end when they hit that draft year age group.
Yep.
Because even now we see the kids that didn't get drafted last year that are now playing midget or that didn't even make the midget team or whatever, they're all going to start over the next 2 years now. They're going to all drop like flies. All of them are going to be done playing hockey, and there's going to be 2, 3, 4 kids that are still left playing of that age group.
100%.
So all those spring hockey tournaments, all that extra training, all the extra money, all this crap turned out to not matter. Even though at the time it seemed like the dad whose kid was going to all the tournaments was the thing to do. That was the move. You needed to be doing that. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
So I just want to point that out again, because you can, again, like I said at the start, you can find the kid that did all the spring tournaments, that made it and went and played in the OHL and played in the NHL. You can find the kid that did all the spring tournaments and didn't get shit and quit when they were 17.
Yeah.
You know, and that just does not matter. So don't get caught up. If you're the reasonable parents, like the ones we were talking to yesterday, and you're just genuinely wondering, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Don't let the noise of everything that's going around deter you or think that you're making a mistake. There's no mistake. There's no consequential decision that you're making when they're 12 or 13 or whatever about spring hockey or any of that. And again, just like when we were talking about the PEP stuff, I'm not saying you can't go do that stuff. If it's within your means, you can afford it, you want to pay for an extra camp or pay to go to a spring hockey tournament or whatever.
Yeah, it's good.
That's fine. That's fine. But
Don't
it's just
get caught up.
Yeah, don't get caught up. That's all I wanted to
Well, that's the
stick on
biggest thing, is you get caught up. Before we